make a motion, we,
Motion by Billy,
I'll second.
second by Steve. Oh, Matt's here.
Matt's here, cool.
Matt's here. Okay.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries to approve tonight's agenda. So tonight we have the certificate of appropriateness for 117 Watson Street. What they are asking for is new facade openings to the retail space on first floor, replace 3 apartment windows on north half of building to match 3 on south half, repaint, trim on all 6 windows, tuck point and replace damaged bricks on front wall of building, replace 3 top courses of bricks with a stone cap, replace storefront signage, and replace roof. And just to fill Matt in, because you weren't here last week, we were looking at it, and the reason we have a special meeting is and this is the new drawing, but the height of this bulkhead or kick plate was 36 inches plus the 2 inches for the window. And then we wanted to make that, it was out of scale.
Okay.
So with Craig T-Bon's input, there's a letter from, let's see if I can find that letter, because I can fill Matt in from the state. Yeah, maybe Matt would like to look at that quickly. He also had concerns with that and other concerns. So in our discussion, we allowed them to come back this, a week later with a different drawing. Upon talking to the building inspector, if right now the openings are centered on the 2 buildings. And I think you have a picture of what it looks like now from.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then with them moving each way, it opens up a whole can of worms for ADA accessibility with a ramp and everything. If they stay where they're at, in the center of each store facade, there's no issue with the ADA.
I have no issue bringing it up to ADA standard.
And, right, I don't know if we don't know if this would be a ramp of some sort onto the sidewalk.
Currently, the plan is for the other door on the south side is the ADA, and going to be the ADA accessible entrance to the building.
Okay.
Speaking with the building inspector this morning, she said that'll be acceptable. I may have to switch the doors to open in, and with my square footage, that is an allowable exclusion to have retail doors opening in.
Okay.
But otherwise, she told me that the current drawing is acceptable to code for ADA purposes,
Okay.
with the exception of possibly having to open the doors in.
So then in review of our design manual, which we have for downtown, there's a lot of, verbiage in here that we can go through if we want to. I mean, I can keep going through this. A visually unified downtown can go a long way in attracting people to our downtown, as well as individual shops and businesses that are located here. The basic commercial facade consists of 3 parts: storefront with an entrance and a large window displays, which would be, this and this smaller. If you see in that letter, the man from the state did not want to move the center openings over, because that traditionally a storefront facade had a center door, windows on each side. And that's the way it is still
Yeah.
to this day. Storefront design in our manual, storefront is composed almost entirely of windows, which again means this bulkhead should be as small as neighboring ones or as what it would have been originally. Proportion of window to wall area in the traditional facade calls for more glass and less wall. There's a lot of that emphasis in our design manual. In considering improvements to the storefront, it is very important that the original opening be recognized and maintained. And I believe that, this is my interpretation, the original opening, what they're talking about is the center, not like the original door or the original depth that it might, the depth might have been changed throughout the years. Maybe it came closer or farther back. And low bulkheads at the base to protect the windows. So we can go through this a lot. And we can discuss it. We can let Ted, discuss his, but I think you're kind of caught up on where we're at on that. So you want to say anything, Ted, on what you want to do?
I will just point out that I have redesigned it to the exact spec that you requested last week. And I have the support of Ripon Main Street. He reviewed it this afternoon and he told me he was supportive.
Of the height of the window?
Of this current design.
Oh, I guess I'd like to see that in writing.
He's standing right behind you.
Oh, I didn't know you were here.
Yeah. Yeah. After looking at Mug's Coffee House and Back Porch Gatherings, the height of the bulkhead is almost the same.
Okay.
The height of the bulkhead is 32 on Mug's and it's 33 on Back Porch Gatherings. I think what Ted has proposed for the height of the bulkhead, it would be nice to have something different, but I think what he's proposing is, it meets what's been done in these last two significant renovations.
And it also does meet the requirement of 60% or more glass.
That's not like a requirement, it's a suggestion. Yeah.
And to that note, I will point out that the design manual is suggestions.
Right, it's left up to us to determine. I still go back, personally, I go back to changing the facade from like a center entrance to
And I would
an
like
entrance
to,
on the side. And that was stated with the letter from the man from the state also.
and I would like to point out that it does say to design like your neighbors, and I do not consider just one side, other side, my neighbors. My neighbors are the entire downtown district,
Mhm.
and there are 20 examples of this configuration.
And that's fine. I mean, we all know that different commissions, different people voted on it, there's different ideas. I understand we could go around the entire city and look at ordinances and somebody has this, somebody has that. So, in review of that, I'm open for comments from everybody else on how they feel on it, what they want to do, and then we'll go from there.
So the building inspector signed off on this and said it was okay? She said that was,
Our conversation this afternoon.
did
she
you
said-
show her the pictures?
She has seen the pictures, yes.
Okay, you've taken that to her.
I've talked to her on the phone today.
Okay, well, that's the only real concern I had, because I went over and talked to her, and what happened was she said, well, according to the ordinance or whatever they had, you had to restore the facade, front facade, to the original if you change the whole thing. That's what she said.
Which is,
And like I said, that's what she told me, and John was there too. I think.
which is not how the design manual is worded.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
it is.
anyway, that's
Yeah.
what she said to me, and that was the only question I had is, and the only thing that I would stipulate is, if it's okay with her, then I can't say no. But she was really concerned about the ramp.
And I talked to her specifically about that, that's why I called her.
Yeah,
And her concern was the fact that it didn't have the landing at the top. I mentioned what Public Works Director told me about the possible exclusion for an electric door not needing the landing. She couldn't find that while we were on the phone, but she did find the exclusion that due to my capacity, the doors can open in and therefore the ramp is not necessary. So if we cannot find the exception for the electric doors, I will turn those doors to open in and the ramp is acceptable. That was her only concern, was the lack of landing at the top.
okay,
I think whatever you do, you would do it subject to code compliance, subject to
Exactly.
approval by the building inspector,
yeah.
regardless of whether it's this project or any other project.
Yeah, and that's where, I was kind of concerned because, she was talking about codes on the sidewalks and stuff, and you can't say, well, maybe say put a big ramp in there for ADA.
But they had the bump
But they
out.
Yeah.
have bonus sidewalk, and the same thing with Roadhouse, because they configured that little bump out in there, they gave them extra sidewalks, so that was the only thing that concerned me.
And that did come up in our conversation, and I told her my sidewalk is 11'3", and she said that is enough room to split it. And with where the tree placement is, it is barely enough room to split it. But I would have a 4-foot path between the tree and the beginning of the ramp. I'm not leaning towards splitting the sidewalk, but it physically could fit. But I would prefer to have this type of entrance where the ramp is on my property and not blocking the sidewalk.
Yeah, it makes.
Unless more people on the block wanted to do a 2-level sidewalk. So it's not just my building that has it.
So in other words, we could approve it with stipulation that it meets all city codes. And state codes, is that
You
all
could-
you all?
Yeah. We're not going by our guidelines.
Yeah,
Then our guidelines are gonna be thrown out.
oh,
They'll have to be, because, here's another example. For remodeling, the original size, division, and shape of display windows within the overall storefront frame should be preserved. So I read that as, if it's a center entrance, it should remain a center entrance and
But I
windows on each
also
side.
bring up the fact that these windows and doors are not originally placed.
I understand things change throughout the years,
But
but the center entrance,
I looked up, I have several pictures from the early 1900s to the 1930s of that block, and everything has been a center entrance since then.
Correct, it has been centered.
Yes.
I will not deny that.
Yeah, so
But
it's
it
been,
also
that's never
has
been changed.
It also has been about 2 feet back with a wooden deck at the front. With wooden stairs, because the sidewalk was 4 feet lower.
Okay?
So if you want me to go back to that, we can go back to that.
No, I'm just saying that, just looking at old pictures, that,
Right.
I'm just talking about the center entrance, that has always been there.
yeah, and I keep going back to the center entrance. Lots of glass, low bulkheads, which this is down, pretty close. I would like to see it lower, but, and then we have to also, you look at neighboring, I don't know exactly, they have one in our city ordinance, historic preservation ordinance, whether in the case of construction of a new improvement upon a historic site or within a historic district, the exterior of such improvement would adversely affect or not harmonize with the external appearance of other neighboring improvements. And the building to the side of it, which is public house, very low bulkheads, lots of glass, center entrance like it always was.
And if you follow that interpretation, every building in town will be identical to each other, which will look horrible.
That's basically the way they were made in blocks of
They were,
buildings.
storefronts were designed to suit the business that was being built in them.
Mhm.
They had things in common. These have things in common. But they were not cookie cutter. What you're proposing is cookie cutter.
No, we're going back, what the guidelines say, back to
If you,
the original center entrance, which is still there. And you're proposing to change the center entrance. Which again, I go back to the man from the state, didn't like it. Craig didn't like it last week. So we can, if anybody else has anything to say.
Well, we have to follow what we have. I agree. That really, the change in the height, that's not doing anything anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is lower, it's definitely lower.
Well, we just kind of compromised on it.
Yeah.
30 inches, now
Right.
24, or was.
Mhm.
That would only help that. That's got nothing to do with the other issue.
With the center, yeah, the two center entrances.
The two center entrances.
Mhm.
I didn't know you could have a door go inside in a commercial,
Generally, you can't.
according to fire.
Well, yeah,
Isn't that the issue?
yeah, it is.
If
That's
the
why they're
occupancy-
supposed to go out.
if the occupancy is less than 50, which I don't have enough square footage to get a retail occupancy above, I think, 30.
So there is a stipulation to cover that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I never run into that. Everything that I've ever dealt with was always commercial properties, doors swing out.
I mean, my preference would be the electric door exclusion if we can find it and have doors.
And even the old buildings, most of them swung out. Very few swung in.
I just didn't know if that was a commercial thing in the old
I
days.
think it was just a fire safety thing.
I think so. Can't get locked in.
Yeah.
Common sense. Stampede
Because
stuff.
people panic.
Yes, stampede. Can't get out, can't get out. Okay.
I can recite another in our guidelines. The characteristic architectural features should never be removed or altered unless it's absolutely necessary. And right next to it is a traditional storefront design with a center entrance. Again, it's the center entrance versus the moving the two entrances.
And again, I will point out that there are 20 buildings in downtown. Some of them are probably original with side entrance.
I don't know when they were all done, but since we've been locally designated, that's when, once we were formally designated, the guidelines are 100% enforced. And again, like the commission, each commission is different, I don't know who was on all the commissions or, approved it or didn't approve it.
Yeah, at a certain time, there wasn't any of that.
Well, these have been around for quite a while, whether they were used with other
They weren't
commissions or.
enforced, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think when other builders
This draft was brought
did
up.
remodeling on buildings in downtown, they went
This
to
was
the
08.
Historical Society and they got pictures and they kind of mimicked it.
Yeah,
I think that's what, other builders did in town here to appease people. I can't talk to stuff that's from the 50s or from the,
yeah, right.
You know.
That was well before
that's.
we were even designated downtown. Um, Any new design should respect the proportions as well as the detailing of the original design, and should use materials which are consistent with those used in the original facade. It's a pretty thorough design manual. I know there was a lot of work that was put into it. And then, well, according to our ordinance, the commission shall review any proposal which may result in an alteration of historic structure, historic site, or improvement in a historic preservation district, or construction or relocation of a structure on a vacant site within the historic district. After review, according to the procedures outlined in this chapter, the commission may grant or deny a certificate of appropriateness. There's nowhere in here that I see that it goes to common council. If we remember Jay's Barbecue, we're not gonna allow that. They got bumped to common council for their vote. What I read, and I'm not a lawyer, but it says it may grant or deny a certificate of appropriateness. So tonight, I'm thinking we either grant or deny what I read the first time, the certificate of appropriateness. Not to cherry pick it. We were gonna cherry pick it for Jay's and allow that overhead door, but we weren't allowed to that night. So we denied it and it went to council.
Can we just approve the upper part so they can tuck point and change their windows and do the roof line and
Well,
things
that's
like
what
that?
I'm reading. This is the certificate of appropriateness application. It's listed on there. We either grant or deny. I don't believe Adam allowed us to cherry pick it for Jay's.
Okay. Well, if we have to follow our downtown manual or whatever we have and be consistent, I guess that kind of puts us in a certain area.
That's why we're gonna vote.
Otherwise,
We'll
we're
have to
gonna-
have a vote on it no matter what.
Otherwise,
but, yeah.
might as well throw that in the garbage can.
I'm gonna give one last comment. If you're gonna be consistent, be consistent. Back porch gatherings moved their door to the side. It was not originally a side entrance.
Back
But you-
Back porch, that's, I
Back
think,
porch was when it was,
Davis
was
Furniture.
next, when it was next to Johnson's, it was a side entrance.
Patina V doesn't fit any of your design manual.
But if you look at historic pictures, it does. I mean, the historic pictures from the original build,
My ask
It
is not that, I am not trying to match the original on my particular building, but this is a layout that would have existed with the exception of the double door. I would like to have a double door for ADA purposes, to make it as easy as possible for people with disabilities to get in and out.
And it goes back to our design manual.
I showed you many examples of
Yes,
businesses
I understand
in
your
our downtown
example.
that fit this layout.
Different commissions, I can't speak for what was done in the past.
This design respects history, but allows for modern use.
I go back to the letter from the man from the state, and the thoughts are if they come back and say, well, they took a center entrance, moved it to the sides, it's non-conforming. How does that make the commission look?
But is it gonna be like Jay's Barbecue, where if we were to deny it, then it'll just go to common council, and then we'll
Well-
just look weird for denying it anyways?
Well, we never denied that one.
But,
That's
They
why it
just-
went to council.
They just bumped it
Yeah,
to,
because they didn't have a second meeting. Even though that was offered.
but again, according to our ordinance, it just says grant, may grant or deny. And I didn't see anything in there what the next step would be.
There's nothing in there that's, you could cherry pick it and just say you could do certain parts of it and not others.
I didn't see where it doesn't say that, you know. But I remember at that meeting, we were gonna cherry pick, and we were all in
Right.
favor of the overhead door because it was basically a garage.
A garage,
Yeah, and
But we didn't have the pictures of the railing.
Right, and the, the fencing, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't specific enough.
Right.
Right,
So I'm just going back on that incident.
but we didn't approve or deny, that's the problem.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it jumped to
We were
the
gonna,
council.
we were gonna postpone, like we did this one last week, and get more information, and then it was just bumped to council.
Well, they wanted an opening. They wanted it open early.
Yeah, they wanted to
Right.
get
It
things
was a time.
ordered and
It's kind of a
whatever,
time thing.
yeah.
Mm.
And we can see they didn't have the fence done yet, but the railing isn't.
No,
redone,
no,
yeah.
it isn't done.
But that's all right, I mean, things change and happen.
You know, the only thing I get, and I understand, it is interesting, but, in this, in our design manual, when you read it, the design manual, this design manual is not a set of standards, requirements for buildings in downtown Ripon. It's not a formula specific solution. The purpose presented, illustrate flexible design. Concept and guidelines to assist owners and contractors, renovators. So they list everybody in that. It can, of course, it is a design manual. When I read that, I would look at it maybe in another light. How it could be flexible, how can you can't be much flexible with it. Because that's major, going from here to there.
It's a major change, yeah.
Major
I mean,
change. Like here, I thought that's flexible.
Mhm.
That's when I suggested we could go inches, not to get all,
Right.
wound up about it. And when you do look at these two,
Yeah, there's
you
quite a
had that there,
difference.
that's so, it's so right there, and yet. But when you're doing that, that's. There's no flexibility.
I had another question for Ted. What was gonna be, what are you gonna be using on the exterior?
Material,
Yes,
my intention at this point is white oak.
okay. Because there is, in the design manual again, I don't know if I can find it, but there's, there is no need to introduce additional types of building materials to those that originally existed. I know wood is wood, but I'm reading into but the storefronts are all painted. And if you throw in stained and polyurethane or whatever, storefront, it's gonna be completely different also.
I do have a picture from the 1870, 60s, 70s, that it is a natural wood look. I mean, or it's painted to look like wood. It is it's black and white.
Oh, I was gonna say a color photograph?
No, it's black and white, but it appears that it is a wood look and not painted. It could just be a paint color that shows up in black and white, the same as wood does, but.
So we would also, if this application is approved, then we're approving the white oak on the outside also.
I mean, if you would prefer a painted finish, I can use the material that Craig suggested for painting.
Well, that's what we need to know. We need to know the materials.
I would prefer the white oak, but I am open to paint.
So the white oak with a stain or and then a sealant?
Stain and polyurethane.
The poly ash is, in my opinion, the better way to go. It's gonna last a lot longer, but, if Ted's willing to compromise that, I think that's another, he's demonstrated twice now that he's willing to compromise on his design. And I get why Ted wants to change the openings to make the interior work better.
But we're not concerned, all we handle is exterior. And again, traditionally, these were center openings.
Yeah, I don't think, to me, the white oak is fine. I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Mhm.
But again, the doors are being moved, so, I don't know.
You did get a picture of the existing with the center opening? I don't know if you got that or not.
Yeah, I don't think do I?
No,
I don't think
No,
we did.
not yet.
Okay. And again, I mean, Ron, you had pictures, Joe's got pictures back to
Yeah,
1870s.
it's always been center.
Mhm.
I have never denied that it was a center door since the beginning.
No.
But I'm
and-
saying that to make it functional for my business, I need to move them. And this design respects history, but allows me to move them.
I fall back to the man from the state and our guidelines, our design manual. But somebody can make a motion and we could do a roll call vote on it then. If, we can discuss more too. I mean, I'm not pushing the vote through. We got plenty of time to discuss it.
I'm just concerned about our manual. I mean, I don't want to throw it away.
Well, we should respect it, that's one.
That's right.
The reason we have it.
I mean, that's the reason it was all done.
But it, as Billy pointed out, is designed as a guideline, but flexibility should be allowed.
Yeah, it's like an oxymoron. Tells you one thing, but then it gives you another. But, I mean, we've always tried to work with everybody anyway, that's what we do. Basically, we're just stuck on the windows. Everything else is kind of simple.
Well,
but then-
according to the, yeah, we have, I can go through that again.
Because it's, that,
New facade openings to retail space, replace the 3 apartment windows up above, tuck pointing, and then replacing the top 3 courses of brick with a stone cap. Replace storefront signage, and then replace roof.
so we have everything but the windows
Yeah, like the new facade openings.
and the facade. And that's what we're stuck on. Does this reflect the new height?
Down here?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 4 inches, and then 2'1", so that's
That's
29.
21 inches, it's all in inches.
Or 20, okay, 21, so that's 25, and 4 is 29, and then 1 more inch for like a sill, I would guess would be 30.
Yeah. I had 30 written down on this over here, so that is what we did. On that part, but that doesn't do anything for moving those.
Basically, it's the door placement is what's
It's the door placement.
holding us.
Only, yeah, all the rest is okay. And there's no one else to ask. We've asked the city, we've asked,
Yeah, I guess it can be bumped out into the, that can be bumped out into the sidewalk, from what Ted said.
In fact, the building inspector said I should put a 4-foot bump out. I didn't request it. Just, like I said, she was pushing for the external ramp.
and your reason, Ted, for that is
For which?
for your inside, for the movement, to accommodate.
So on the north side, where it's a single door entrance, if you look at the floor plan, there's a door already. The interior construction is done. And I need the doors to line up so things that are longer than 5 feet can get into that side of the building. And it helps with egress. If I center that door, then egress has a big jog to it. That is a fire exit from the retail space. Not to mention that if I have a centered door on either side, I lose all functionality. On the north side, I would lose the entire functionality of that room. On the south side, I would lose approximately almost 120 square foot of retail floor space if I center that door, because the 2 sections next to the door would be completely unusable for retail.
Because of this wall, you're saying?
Oh, this side here.
Yeah.
This is already in place. This is a fire exit from the retail space that sits back here. And I want the 2 doors to line up to aid with egress, as well as getting longer pieces in, if I need to get a sheet of plywood into that side of the building. Let's come through there. This side, if I center the door here, then to keep the same ramp, to make it ADA approved, I'm gonna end up with a 5-foot by 9, almost 10-foot section here, 5-foot by 10-foot section here, completely unusable for retail space.
And that's what you have right now.
Yes, which is driving me absolutely nuts because I cannot use it.
Yeah, if you don't change the opening, you don't have to do the ramp.
Right.
Yeah.
But then it's not 88.
Well,
Well, the only store that's gonna only side that's gonna be accessible is gonna be the south side. The north side is not
retail,
going to be.
They'll both be accessible.
the
because there's
retail
this connection
space
between the
is
two.
open on the inside
Right.
of the building.
Oh, it is.
But, yeah, the south side, the ramp is the only one. Yeah.
Right.
You only have to have one because the building's open.
Well, exactly.
It's two, it's
Well,
one
it's
and
open
two.
between so they can get in there.
Correct. Yeah. So you can use it.
And the back part's gonna be retail too, then you're saying, on the north side.
Yes, behind
Behind
this
that
wall is 44 feet of retail space. From here to the back wall of this room is 80 feet. And there, the connector right about here between the two.
So basically, it just comes down to the center doors. I mean, for our commission. I mean,
Yeah, for
you know,
the
we-
applicant, you know, for the certificate of appropriateness.
What was your timeline on that, Ted? As soon as you
The
can?
north side, absolutely tuck pointing would be done this year, replacing the top cap this year, apartment windows this year, and I would like bare minimum to frame out the opening. I don't know if I'll get glass in before the end of the year, but I would frame out the opening for preparation for glass. My intention would be to do the entire south side this year, or north side. And the south side, that opening cannot get done until the back end of my building is done, so that would be about 2 years down the road.
The only solution I can see is do everything and then not do that. And in 2 years, maybe things will change. I don't know. What else can we do?
Yeah, that's up to us. If we want to pull out items, if we can. I don't read it that way that we can, but maybe we can. And, you know, approve what we want tonight.
And we'll just add to the timeline that the wall from here to here, the foundation wall, is intended to be repaired with the masonry work. So that would require taking out that section of the facade before I can do that. So removal of that would definitely be this year.
So you're gonna re-pour that down there?
Either re-pour or more likely replace with masonry. Field stone below grade and possibly pour above grade or the cut stone. The top 4 inches would be poured because the cement pad by the entrance would be poured at the same time.
I got it, yeah.
This is a tough situation. I mean, for me, I'm okay with all the upper stuff being done. I'd like to consult some other people if there's a possibility to make sure this is what we should be done. You know, to me, I mean, basically the look is good to me, but the point is we're a preservation outfit. And like I said, I don't know what they do in other communities, but it's, being part of the Historical Society, it's kind of puts me on the spot, you know, as far as a voting person, because we're trying to preserve what we can, you know, and
You don't want me to preserve what's there. It's
well,
awful.
The basic facade, like traditional facade, center
Right.
entrance, you know.
Center entrance is only one example of historical entrance.
That's what we have in our manual. They have inappropriate historical theme, you know, they show a cedar, like they used to do, a cedar shake roof and door on the side, and it's all closed in, and
right.
We should have one from the dance joint in there.
yeah, I mean, that's an example, I don't know how that
Or tall poles.
got put metal on the front of that one, but it passed Preservation Commission.
That was a long time
Yeah, it
ago.
was all, right.
And I
And-
don't even think that was brought to the commission at the time.
Maybe it
I'm
was.
sure it wouldn't.
It was before my time on that.
That was passed with that manual in place?
I
No.
don't
No.
I
No, it
don't know.
wasn't.
Oh,
This-
okay.
Yeah,
I remember.
This was
like
Craig brought that, the manual,
08
to-
this one is.
the plan commission, and also,
Yeah.
I mean, it took a long time to accept the stuff that was in that manual. And we went round and round and round on that, you know, and trying to, with different communities and different things. Well, I know, I don't know, how long did it take us? A year and a half?
Maybe longer.
And then after we got everything set up like that, well, then we had to go to the common council and get an acceptance of it. And that's all I can remember about it. It was a lot of work, and it was a lot of give and take and whatever, you know, trying to make this thing work. And we were trying to hold the standards in town here with that. Yeah, that's all I can remember on that, and that was later than some of these other buildings that were done. And I wasn't on the commission when the builders were doing stuff, you know, as far as, because I re-came on the commission. You know, but I know that Tom Rogers spent a lot of time down by the Historical Society. You know, we were pulling pictures for him and all sorts of stuff, and I didn't want to mention his name, but I meant, you know,
Yeah.
trying to keep things historically correct. And that was his, or one of their concerns. So, I don't know.
If we feel as a commission we can pick off the list, if that's the motion from somebody, we can go through what you want to approve or deny, or however you want to do it. If you feel that that's okay to do it that way.
Well, like I said, I don't have a problem with anything above the windows, you know, above the front facade there. You know, I mean, everything he's doing above there, tuck pointing and everything, that's a safety thing.
Right.
You know,
It's-
I mean,
it's a
that's
maintenance
something
thing.
important.
Yeah.
We've got 4 out of 5.
Yeah, and the windows and stuff like that, well, that's important because people that come downtown, they want to see the historic look downtown. So,
And the roof replacement,
yeah.
That's very
Don't
important.
have a problem with that.
yeah.
Because that's gonna be a lot of work right there if you had a skylight stuck in there. Because I worked
Yeah.
around some of those downtown there for people, and some of them are pretty nasty.
Bad.
Yeah, I know.
Guaranteed leak. Just not enough caulking.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah.
Not
How
enough
many
caulking.
pails can you put up there?
Right.
Take your hair dryer and scratch what's off and sand it and acetone it and put it down again. I've done it.
So we could, if the commission as a whole feels like you want to do it that way, somebody can make a motion for that. And we'll take a roll call vote on that.
To approve everything but the door openings in the center?
Yeah.
Is that what it would be?
It would be approve everything but the new facade openings to the retail space on first floor. That's what how
On
it's
both
written.
buildings.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's one building, they combined it now.
If we took that off, we would replace the 3 apartment windows on the north, tuck point and replace damaged bricks, replace top 3 courses of brick with a stone cap, replace storefront signage, and replace roof. So we'd be out of the 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of the 6, you would have, yeah, you would just have 5.
I hate to say it, but I'd be in favor of that right now. Either way I lose. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the stuff that's above the store fronts that he has listed there as far as the tuck pointing and the stone cap and the roofing and,
So-
the windows.
Okay, is that a motion?
That'd be a motion, I think. For now.
Is there a second? I will second that motion. So in review of that motion, the motion is to approve, is that what you were?
Approve that part.
To replace the 3 apartment windows, north half of the building to match the 3 on the south half. Tuck point and replace damaged bricks. Replace top 3 courses of bricks with a stone cap. Replace storefront signage and replace roof.
For now. Until we can talk to some other people and make sure that.
Well, that was my question. Is there, what can we do the next time? I mean, is he gonna have to reapply? Or is that,
The way I see it, the next, if we would approve those 5, he would come back with another certificate of appropriateness for the store facades.
Would he have to spend money on that, or is it, can we grandfather say that he would already had this applied?
What do you mean spend money on it?
Well, as far as.
There's no cost for the,
Oh, there is no cost, okay. I wasn't sure if they
Yeah.
had a cost on that or not, because I know the plan commission always had,
that's
we
for
had
like
to pay
a
money
conditional use permit
for
or something like
permits and
that.
stuff
yeah.
like that. So it's irrelevant. Okay.
So a motion by Steve, second by myself. Discussion. Okay.
If we, I guess we won't have a tie vote, because that wouldn't work. Yeah, we could. And if it went to the council, I mean, does it go to the council then if something like that happens? Or does,
It's,
if we don't do anything,
as far as I can read in our ordinance, it didn't say anything about going to council. It was just approve or deny.
That's right, and that's the only reason that the door or the barbecue place went there, because we didn't make a decision.
Right.
You have to just deny
If we-
or approve.
Correct.
that's why they did it?
Yes,
Apparently, that's, yeah, and I don't,
because we didn't do anything and,
yeah, and that's the reason it ended up there, as I remember correctly. And we took a beating on that one too, because it made us look bad too. So,
but then at the council meeting, it said they had the ultimate authority to
Yeah.
do anything.
Yeah, To apply that
So
certificate.
do they could somebody bring it to the council again and say, this was denied and?
Right. That's where I don't see that in the ordinance. If we-
Right, so,
if
but
we-
that could happen.
I don't know.
What happened?
It
Well,
did
that's
because
because
we
it-
didn't make a decision. We
Because
didn't
make it,
deny
but
or.
could it happen after we make a decision?
So in other words, we can approve the upper stuff and deny the lower stuff right now. Is that what you wanted to say?
Well, that's what your
Yeah.
motion is.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I guess we really don't have any choice.
Yeah, if we want to follow that manual,
Yeah.
that's important.
Okay, so the motion, I'll just repeat the motion. The motion is to approve the certificate of appropriateness application to replace 3 apartment windows, tuck point and replace damaged bricks, replace top 3 courses of bricks with a stone cap, replace storefront signage, and replace roof. That's what the motion is, and that's what we'd be voting in favor of or denying it. So, any more discussion?
The only discussion I guess I would have is we have that done.
What do we have done?
That would be done.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, the 5 would be done. Then he could come back again,
With,
a different rendering.
he could probably come back with the same rendering. It's up to the owner, it's up to Ted. And then at that time, we review it again and vote on it then.
Like I said, I just want to talk to
Yeah,
building
I think we
inspectors and
need to
people like
get,
that, make sure we're all on the same page.
yeah.
I mean, like I said, I understand the ADA stuff, you know, because some of the buildings downtown here that I worked on, well, we had to put in ramps in certain spots, but that was in the interior.
Would we have another meeting and have Suley, hey, have these people?
Well, that's definitely what I'll try to do.
Yeah.
That would be really good
have
if we
them
could
here.
have them here
Right.
with their, you know, I mean, that
I think
would
that's
be a
only
lot.
fair.
Or a written
That's
letter,
fair to-
if they're not here, at least a written letter approving, denying, whatever their
Yeah.
thoughts are.
Yeah, and that's where I'd feel more comfortable.
Mhm.
I mean, as far as being on this commission. I mean, like I say, because of the situation we're in, you know, we don't want to throw the manual away.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, it's open season on everything. So, well,
Okay. So a yes vote means you're in favor of those 5, and no vote is you're not in favor of approving those 5. So could you just do a roll call, Ron, please?
Okay, Koski,
Yes.
Hutton,
Yes.
Split,
Yes.
Kramer,
yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Silver, yes. Okay, passed unanimously.
Okay.
Okay, do we have to do another roll call vote on the lower part then? Because otherwise, we're not making a
Right.
decision.
That will take a motion on the floor for that.
Since I'm in the poop of the month club, I might as well follow through. I make a motion that we deny at this time the lower entry areas,
Entrance placement.
yes, on the bottom of the building for now.
Okay, motion by Steve, and I'll just repeat what's on the application. new facade openings to the retail space on first floor. And your motion is to deny that.
Yes,
Okay. Is there a second?
for now.
I'll second that.
A second by Joe. Any discussion?
I don't think there's anything less to discuss.
Okay, yeah. So a yes vote would mean we are denying the new facade openings to the retail space on the first floor. So can you do a roll call vote again, Ron?
Koski,
No.
you're
Voting no.
you're voting no? Hutton,
I'm a yes.
Silver, yes. Split,
Yes.
Raymer,
Yes.
and Walker.
No.
Motion passes 4-2.
Okay.
So this can be reconsidered in the future.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I lost my agenda, but
In the
I...
near future.
I almost forgot we had this meeting.
Yeah.
This was trying to text me earlier. I was like, oh shit.
I have a question. If somebody wanted to, let's say in this case, completely remove that central entrance and make one large window space, I mean, like, let's say 3 windows the same size
Mhm.
across, that would also not follow the design manual?
Yes, I would say it doesn't follow the design manual.
Okay.
And also, there's a fire safety thing there.
Oh, that you have to have access to
Yeah.
that side, okay.
Yeah, you can't.
Just a question, is
Yeah.
something I thought about, but. Okay. No more questions.
Okay. That's it for our number 4. Entertain a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Ron, second by
A second.
Billy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.